I'm pretty sure it was Zig Ziglar who said there's never a traffic jam on the extra mile. And that's why that's where all the money is, because there's nobody there to pick it up. So I was just like thinking about what true service is and isn't. And it isn't delivering a product, right? They can get that from a catalog. It's delivering peace of mind.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your host, Nate and Brian, hanging out with you again. Looking forward to another great way to start off your week. This time, we're talking about going the extra mile. That's right, the extra mile. And you can read into that what you will. We'll get to the meat of that content in a little bit. It's going to be a good conversation today with just the two of us. But for right now, we're going to start it off with a bit of an introduction. And as always, we're going to look for a quote from Brian.
Trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets. Kevin Plank, CEO of Under Armour.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, anybody who is in the retail business sure knows the definition of that version of trust, right? And when you think about it that way, what does Under Armour do? They sell a brand, specifically a brand of clothing that has a logo on it, and that logo carries with it an element of trust based upon the experience and the perception that comes with it. So, if you've never worn Under Armour before, or you never bought a piece for your kids or something like that, I'm sure, seen it. You've seen the commercials. You've seen other people wearing it. And you're just like, maybe I'll give that a chance, right? That's the drop, drop, drip, drip. And then you put it on and you try it out. And you're like, hey, this isn't too bad. So the next time you go to the store, drop, drop, drip, drip. Maybe you get another one. Go to the store again. Maybe this time you're like, all right, cool. I like this brand. I'm going to spend some money. And for one reason or another, you have yourself a bad experience. And that bad experience is where things can really go sideways, because all the investment of the drips, all the investment of the drops along the way finally gets lost in one swift moment. What do you think, Brian?
I think you're nailing it, bro. I think according to a Forbes article, actually an article by New Voice Media called Serial Switchers that Forbes reported on, businesses lose $75 billion annually due to poor customer service.
Yeah.
Because according to an American Express customer service barometer survey, 33% of Americans say they would switch companies after one single experience of poor service.
How much was it? 75 billion?
75 billion is lost per year by a customer leaving a company and going to spend their money with someone else because of a poor service experience.
And frankly, that actually seems a little low to me.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of money that's transacted in our country.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of frustration to be had. That's for sure. I mean, shoot, I would think like Comcast loses 75 billion a year in customer service complaints. Sorry, Comcast,
Well,
if you're there went that sponsorship.
I guess they figured that out by now. Yeah, even when we were talking about Under Armour, I was like, maybe there's a branding episode there, but I was thinking about the things that I own of Under Armour's, a few t-shirts, there's a few tank tops for lifting, some drawers, some socks with the little UA brand. And I'm like, how do they hold up against like Kirkland brand from Costco? I can't tell the difference when I'm wearing any of it. I can't tell the difference wearing any of them, right? But Kirkland might be $2 for a pair of socks. Under Armour might be $8. And then slap a Viore label on the socks or the t-shirt. Triple it from there.
Yeah. If it stops there.
And then you get into the really high end stuff, like 10X it. For what? They don't feel significantly better. Like Lulu and Viore, they're about the same price and the same product, really. I feel like. I mean, all I know is I wear them.
We should take a survey. I would like to know how many of our listeners wear Lululemon.
Not many, I'm guessing.
Or even aware of the brand.
That they make men's clothes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I enjoy when my wife wears Lululemon for sure. No, unlike their pants are like their dressy pants are very comfortable. They feel like you're in pajamas all day, which I'm game for. If I can't be wearing shorts, then let me wear something that feels like PJs.
There you go.
But if you just, you can get the same material, nearly the same quality. I can't tell the difference in all of the brands we just mentioned. And the price is going to be 2 to 3 to 4 to 10 times different depending on what logo's on it. You hear that? Electricians who say not in my area. People will pay extra for brand. They pay extra for better service. And what's the difference? The service is all right at Costco, right? But it's not Viore or Lulu. Like you walk in and 3 people greet you and they're like, hey, can I open a room for you? And they write your name in dry erase marker on the front of a room that's just your room until you leave, going in and out. No, I don't like these. Let's try another one. But the service is significantly higher and supposedly the quality, but I don't know. They all feel the same to me.
There is something to a name though, and that's so much of what that trust.
There's something to brand, yeah, and you built that brand up.
What that trust is carrying.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy at work he's putting a pool in, and he was doing his investigation to which company he wanted to use. So he called a local company, and within the first 5 minutes, the representative said, "Listen, our pools start at $150 and go up to $500." And kind of a bit of a price shock right there. And she's like, "Yeah, we're not for everybody, right?" And it's because they've been able to build trust in their name and obviously their product. They're a one-stop solution that does everything from the pool to the fence to the concrete to the planters to everything else, right? Like it is a hit the easy button solution. And they start at $150 and they go up from there.
Like, can I get the $150?
And there's an element of trust that is being placed in that brand, and they have delivered upon the product again and again and again, drip, drip, drip in the market to a place that has given them the right, if you will, to charge a premium price. And yet you go on reviews, and I'm sure if you look up their name, there was at least somewhere along the line, somebody had a bucket full of distrust get poured out on them for something that went wrong. And that's where things separate really quickly. And of course, then, the old adage that happy customer might tell somebody, an unhappy customer will tell 8 people. And in today's world with social media and the internet, it's 800 people, right? And so the ability to communicate trust, but then more importantly, deliver upon that trust consistently is what makes the difference.
All right. And let's talk about another brand that has that brand loyalty, that trust built in, that price tag built in, and a story that went viral in a good way. That was probably more like 8 million people. Where most companies would or hotels, I should say in this case, would probably say, sorry, nothing we can do. The Ritz-Carlton showed what true service looked like. A family checked out of a Ritz-Carlton and their little boy left behind his stuffed giraffe, Joshy. The parents called the hotel expecting the usual. Sorry, we'll look for it. But the Ritz-Carlton team found it, and they didn't just mail it back. They took photos of Joshy the giraffe getting a massage at the spa, lounging by the pool, hanging with the staff, and they put the pics in a box and overnighted Joshy and the pictures to the little boy. That little boy didn't just get his toy back. He got a memory that family will never forget. And that's why people pay Ritz-Carlton prices. Because they don't hand out napkins. They hand out new shirts. What? Napkins, new shirts. That will bring us to another story. And true service means creating wow moments for our clients. Moments that they can't stop talking about. If we're in the trades, we don't just fix problems. We have to make it unforgettable. And that's how we build loyalty for life. Right? So what's this t-shirt nonsense? So you're on a maintenance call. customer's AC filter is clogged. The easy move, swap the filter with one they have sitting there, check that box off, and roll out. But that's the napkin fix. Real service is pulling the blower, cleaning the coil, checking the drain line, making sure the system runs like brand new. That's the quote unquote fresh shirt moment. And speaking of fresh shirts, a flight attendant once did exactly that mid-flight. A passenger and coach spilled a drink on himself. And she didn't just hand him a napkin like most flight attendants would. She disappeared behind the first class curtain and comes back with a brand new shirt. Turns out that passenger was the CEO of the airline, Frank Borman. True service, the extra mile service, isn't about the bare minimum. It's about going above and beyond, even when no one's watching. But hopefully, occasionally, when you do it so often, somebody is watching and it becomes a big deal like both of those stories did. If we're in the trades, stop just swapping filters, fixing leaks, flipping breakers, and calling it done. We have to start bringing in new shirts.
Think that flight attendant knew?
I mean, according to what I was reading, the article I was reading about that, it didn't seem that she did, but who knows? That was in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It would have been more difficult to know back then. Now, it did say he was flying coach undercover. So maybe he was trying to conceal himself.
Undercover boss.
Yeah, like today, if I'm working for a major company, I'm LinkedIn friends with the CEO, you know, it's a different time now.
Yeah.
You know what that dude looks like, but not in the 80s.
Yeah. That's a good point, Brian. And really, it ties in nicely with what we're going to be talking about today, which is going the extra mile. Taking service, taking professionalism to another level and differentiating yourself from the rest of the competition. Before we get into that, though, it's time for us to highlight one of our amazing listeners. We take this opportunity each show to pull out one of you who's taken the time to leave us a review, just to give you a little bit of thanks and kudos, a little bit of celebrity syndrome, if you will, for the dozens and dozens and dozens of listeners who will hear this review read live. And also as just a little bit of motivation for those of us who are doing this, and maybe for you listening into how this podcast and the episodes and guests on it can change your perspective. Brian, who do we have on today?
Pretty good for a Michigan fan.
Oh, I like it already. Yeah.
It's super hard for me to compliment a vocal supporter of the Michigan Wolverines, but Brian and Nate have a pretty great thing going with this podcast.
Whoa,
I met Brian at a
Penn State here. I'm not getting looped in on that.
Right. Although for his team, you'd probably support Michigan over his team. I'm just saying. It's the one team in the world that you might take over. Yeah.
We are.
I met Brian at a Clover Mastermind event in September. He's as genuine as they come. I was excited to find out about the podcast and started tuning in right away. The content is super practical. I've shared several episodes with my team and encouraged them to subscribe and invest some time in their education. Well done, you two. Hashtag always something about a nut, a tree nut. I don't know. You know what it is. Whatever. He's from Ohio. Who cares?
Oh, man.
Douglas Oaks. You know, it was funny. I just ran into Doug at the Home Service Freedom event, Tommy's event in Vegas last week, and told him like your review. Because when I read the last one, I saw the Buckeye nonsense on the one above it. And I was like, oh, I got to read about that. And then it turns out Michigan lost to Oklahoma this weekend. I'm like, oh, this just couldn't be a worse time to read this freaking review. Doug's just rolling in that too. He's loving that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good time. The Home Service Freedom event. Good to run into Doug and so many cool people. Some Waste No Day fans, some members of Blue Collar Closer, which is our training platform, sales, communication, negotiation training platform, bluecollarcloser.com. If you want more info on it, shoot us an email, service@wastenoday.net. That's service@wastenoday.net. And that's on anything. One of us is going to get the email and respond. If you've got questions about the show, questions about getting on Wiser Wednesday, it's our free live weekly Monday morning Zoom training. We bring special guests in
Wednesday morning,
7 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, 10 a.m. Eastern. Going to be 9 a.m. Eastern when the time changes. Yeah. If you want to get on there, service@wastenoday.net. If you want info on the show, info on the upcoming boot camp, Waste No Day boot camp live in Florida, the first week of November. I think it's the 2nd and 3rd. It's Sunday and Monday. But yeah, that'll be a good time like they always are. Get ready to learn a process. Get ready to role play in front of a lot of people. Get ready to hang at the beach because this is our first boot camp at the beach, which I said last week that we should just call it the boot camp at the beach at the Margaritaville Resort in Fort Lauderdale. I think it's Hollywood, Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Going to be a good time. Yep. But if you want info on any of this stuff, just shoot us an email, service@wastenoday.net.
Yeah, man. And we appreciate the review. And as always,
Doug,
we ask if you haven't done that yourself, take some time to do that today. We'd sure appreciate it. It's time now to switch over to the episode, and it's just going to be the two of us this time. And it's time for us to jump into your passenger seat right now. Our guest today is just yours truly, along with Brian. And we're going to be talking about going the extra mile. Now, what does that mean to you, and why does it make the difference? Well, it's a good question, right? So going the extra mile can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. But simply put, it means differentiating yourself via service to your client base. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. But first, let's start off with why you should do that. Well, if you're in the trades, there's only so many products or there's so many solutions that are offered to problems that you come across. Let's just say that you're in the roofing industry. And I'm not an expert roofer, so don't hold this against me. But at the end of the day, shingles, there's different types of shingles. There's different warranties of shingles. And of course, you have slate and manufactured slate and, cedar and all the different types. But to a homeowner, there might not be a significant difference between one brand to another brand. They might be concerned about the warranty, but really they're talking about shingles or shingles in a lot of cases. Same thing in plumbing, Moen, Delta, different types of piping or different types of water heaters. A lot of homeowners may not necessarily care about the brand. They care about the solution. They want a roof on their house that is not going to leak and looks good. They want water to get hot and it's going to come out of the faucet, and the faucet works and it doesn't drip and it looks nice, right? So a lot of our home services have this quote unquote problem where we are dealing with a user base or a home base of people that don't really necessarily care whether it's Under Armour or Nike or Veery or anything in between, right? They don't really care. They care about how it works. Does it work? Does it fix the problem? Does it fix my problem the way that I want it to be fixed? And yes, every once in a while, you're going to run across somebody who's like, listen, if it's not a train, I don't want it. Okay, cool. And those are, I think, few and far between. But for the most part, what people are looking for is they're looking for a solution. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means that there's a lot of people out there that provide the same solution. And we could get into the nitty gritty. And of course, the engineer in me would say, well, why don't we? Let's do a pros and cons list. But we could get into the nitty gritty about, why a water heater of this brand is, over this one or whatever those types of things in your industry matter. Let's not. Because most homeowners are going to be like, okay, so they pretty much do the same thing? Yeah, they pretty much do the same thing. Which means that you, faithful listener, are basically selling the same thing to every other person in your industry to most homeowners' perspective. And the perspective of the homeowner is the one that generally matters. Now, you might come across somebody that you can argue a case and you might be able to say, well, this product comes with a better warranty. That's fine, sure. But at the end of the day, your solution is pretty much the same as most people's, which means that if you're charging a price that is higher than the average person in your industry, you better not be relying upon your product to justify that price. Hear me again. You better not be relying upon your product to justify that price. Okay, well, you're a home services industry. There's only two things that you're selling, the product and the service. And since this is a home services podcast and not a home products podcast, guess which side we're going to be talking about today? Brian?
Services, baby. Right? Did I get that?
You got it.
Service. Nailed it. Yes. True service. Extra mile service. Who was that? Zig? Who said there's never a traffic jam on the extra mile?
I'm not sure the origination of that quote. I can check it.
I'm pretty sure it was Zig Ziglar. We can check into that. I'm not going to, but we could. I'm pretty sure it was Zig Ziglar who said there's never a traffic jam on the extra mile. And that's why that's where all the money is, because there's nobody there to pick it up. So I was just like thinking about what true service is and isn't. And it isn't delivering a product, right? They can get that from a catalog. It's delivering peace of mind. But as to what you were saying about it's not this brand over that brand, I was even thinking like those two stories that I told, Ritz-Carlton and turns out it was Eastern Airlines, which went out of business a decade later or whatever. Neither of those stories of exceptional service had anything to do with what the company actually does, right? When that CEO, or way more importantly, the two people seated next to the CEO that he probably didn't know, told people that story later, they didn't say anything about how well the plane flew, right? I mean, he spilled something on himself. There was probably turbulence. So it probably wasn't even a great flight. But when that story was told, it was told about the in-between the delivering of the product, the moments in between the work. And that family at the Ritz-Carlton, the Huffington Post later would publish an article about it. They didn't talk about how the bed felt or how the bellhop was or any of that stuff. The breakfast, the continental breakfast. They talked about the moments in between the work, the product. It's how you show up, how you explain, how you follow through, how you show up. Yeah. It's how you look when you get there. It's how our trucks look. It's how our uniforms look or our clothes. It's how our hair is kept. Our teeth are brushed. Our breath doesn't stink like cigarettes or vape. So I love it's in how you explain and follow through. How you explain, yeah, absolutely. So I was thinking about things not to do. It's like rushing through explanations, leaving people more confused and stressed than they were before because of how smart we are, quote unquote. So how do we explain it to make them feel like they understand what we're talking about? We talk about this often. We explain it in analogies, right? Explaining a plumbing system in jargon or HVAC, electrical, garage door. I'll even say roofing because Nate brought roofing into it, which is nice because we always tend to talk about the big four, right? Which is our big four audience is definitely HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and garage doors. But like roofing, shingles and underlayment, your roof is like a raincoat. The shingles are the outer shell, keeping the water off, but the underlayment is the liner inside that actually keeps you dry. That's what keeps the house dry. Without both, you're going to get wet. And in the case of poor roofing, you're going to get mold, right? You're going to get sick. Like much worse things can happen. Insurance deductibles and leaving the house for days or weeks at a time. Think of your plumbing like your heart. If the pressure's too high, it might feel really strong at first, right? But over time, it blows out pipe fittings and fixtures, just like high blood pressure will eventually wreck arteries. Your air filter is like the lungs of your system. If it's clogged, your system's gasping for air. It's like trying to run a marathon with a dust mask on. Your breaker panel. Your panel is like the traffic light of the house. If cars are just flying through the intersection all four directions without any order, you will get crashes, right? And the breaker is like a traffic light to wave this traffic on and stop this traffic before there's a wreck. Garage doors, your torsion spring. The spring is the muscle of the garage door. The opener isn't the muscle. The opener's the hand. If the spring snaps, it would be trying to open your trunk with a hand, but no arm, or your car door, right? So I've heard people explain everything I just said in a way that made me more confused than I was before they started. When I say people, I also mean myself, right? But the way I explain those four things, Nate, and I know you've never been in a truck or done any work or anything like that, but did it make sense to you, buddy?
I think most of them. The last one I was racking my head a little bit on, but okay.
Okay. I'm not a garage door guy, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the real trade.
Sorry, garage door guys.
Right. So for me, and it's part of the reason I was successful in the later years of my career. I had decided that when I explained things to a client, I was going to explain it in analogies, correlating these things to things that I already knew they understood. Now, the game for me, the game on part was I had to look around the house, the situation, get to know the person, and figure out things that I knew they understood already. Right. So my job was to figure out an analogy, not a generic one. Like I didn't just use blood pressure for every time someone had high pressure. I wanted something that they understood, not something generic. So I was always trying to get better at analogies by forcing myself to come up with them somewhat on the spot. Did it always work? Nope. Did it work a lot more in the later years of my career than the early years? Oh yeah, because I got pretty good at it. But it was a test for me. It was something that I challenged myself with, and I would end up using that for training later. I use it for training now. I use it on this podcast. I use it to teach my kids, our team here in Scottsdale. I use it on creating reels for social media, everywhere. It's a skill that I developed on purpose that has served me very well. And I believe that's a higher level of service when you hold yourself accountable to something like that, right? Yes, you would agree, Nate?
Yeah, and that's an interesting take on it because, my initial thought around taking the extra mile or high level of service would be around doing.
Yeah, and it is.
But I think that's an important, there obviously, yes, that's a part of it. But I think what you just explained there would be something easy to overlook in terms of providing high service is the ability to communicate in not just clear terms, but also relatable terms to your homeowner. And I tell you what, like that really does make a difference. If you think about going to a restaurant and you're like, oh, I've never tried this before. And so what are you going to do? You're going to ask the waiter or the waitress. And you're like, how's the halibut or how's the such and such? And you're counting on the waiter or the waitress, maybe they lie, I don't know, but you're counting on them to like convince you or explain to you more about the menu item that you're interested in.
Yeah.
And if they do a convincing job, what are you doing? Like, you're probably pulling the trigger on that item that you were curious about. And you're like, man, that sounds awesome. I'll take that. Right. And while I doubt, and I could be wrong, but I doubt there's like tons of waiters or waitresses that are rehearsing their analogies of food dishes. I bet if they did, they'd probably get some higher tickets. They'd probably get some higher tips because of the ability to communicate and relate to in this case, a restaurant patron about something that they may not necessarily understand and they're curious about. Translate that into your industry, man. And like, what a great way to go the extra mile by being able to communicate and relate your product, solution, and service to the homeowner in such a way that they are engaged and want more.
Yeah, I love the, it's the reason it's part of my close, asking for the business that's trained in blue collar closer. The social proof piece when waitresses, waiters do that at the restaurant, I'm in. And we go to the same few restaurants week after week after week here as a leadership team. Danny Jones and Kyle Brewer and Daryl Robinson and me, when we go to restaurants, there's like 3 or 4 that we frequent often. And there are certain, the main one we go to, I get the same time every time. It's the steak frites, double steak, hold all the gross arugula salad stuff and just give me some white rice or asparagus. But I like when I say like, what's good here, or what's the best lunch you have, and some of them will say like, I love this. Now that's better than nothing, right? But I really like it when they say this is by far our most popular lunch. People love this lunch. That's probably the one I'm getting if they say that, right? And that's just what Dr. Robert Cialdini called an influence social proof. So that's why it's part of our close. That's a great option that you chose. Probably the option I would have picked for you. More and more of the people we serve are going with an option just like that one. So now I have the authority telling me that the waiter telling me he loves this, and then telling me that it's all the rage for their restaurant patrons right now, right? So I'm like, all right, give me that one. Double meat, please. Hold the green stuff.
Brian orders a steak salad. Hold the salad.
Yeah, double steak.
Good.
Yeah, so this is a way. And anytime you go somewhere, like I go to the restaurant and I understand that I like when people do a certain thing, this is what we're supposed to be doing. Note to self, baby. Bust that notepad out and jot it down. Say, how can I use this in my job? How can I use this in what I do? And that's the difference between the bare minimum tech and the true service tech, right? It's like things like this. It's trying to figure out how to be better all the time. Bare minimum techs fix issues and leave. True service techs leave customers saying, wow, I have never been treated like that in a good way. True service is proactive, solving problems the client doesn't see or know they have yet. How many times do you see that 5-star review that says, not only did he fix what I called him for, but he showed me a few other things that could be potential issues, and we had him fix that too.
Right.
That's such a common review. It's so common. Or he explained it perfectly, so I really understood what he was talking about. That is a tech who did not use a bunch of technical jargon and stats and figures, but probably used an analogy. True service, extra mile service is consistency. It's not a one-time act. It's who you are on every call, every time. And occasionally, the person you give the new shirt to is the CEO of an airline, right? Occasionally, the person whose child gets some Polaroids of his giraffe hanging by the pool, getting a massage, getting a hot stone massage or whatever, is someone who takes it to a publication and there's an article written about it. But you just do this kind of, like the Ritz-Carlton, that's what they're known for. They're known for that level of service. Who's the founder or the CEO that we actually saw him live? You and I did, Nate.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, was he like French dude?
I think he's Swiss.
I read his book, for crying out loud.
Horst Schulze.
Horst Schulte.
Yeah, Schulze.
Yeah, yep. Actually, I got his book there at that conference we were at and read the book, paperback book, for crying out loud. It took me forever to learn how to read all those words. Yeah, Horst Schulte. But this is what they did. So wasn't it a Ritz-Carlton that's Simon
Sinek?
Yeah, Sinek. What's your why guy? He talked about it's a great YouTube video. Just look up Simon Sinek. I think the kid's name was Raphael. And he just had a conversation with a kid working at, I think it was the Ritz-Carlton. And he said he has 2 jobs. He loves this job because the leadership team, the managers, everybody treats you like a human being and they get your feedback and make changes based on it. And they allow you to truly serve people and they care about how much we serve people. And then he has another gig at another hotel and it's like, it's just a job. Yeah. I think it was Raphael. Look that up. Yeah. If somebody shoots us an email, I'll find it and drop it in the Facebook group after this post.
Yeah. And I think the hotel industry, and I've used that analogy before myself, but I think that is a very appropriate parallel industry to our services in the home services, specifically because there is such a variety of cost when it comes to a hotel, right?
Yeah.
You can go to the Ritz-Carlton for $1,000 a night, or you can go to you fill in the blank,
Days Inn.
the purple sidewalk inn or whatever. for $65 a night, right? What service or what product do both of these have?
A bed.
It's a room, a bed, a bathroom, hopefully some towels. We can argue cleanliness. Yes, we can argue quality of the bed and, tile shower versus fiberglass, like all that stuff. Yeah, that's going to be noticeable for sure, especially $65 to $1,000 a night. But at the end of the day, it's a place to put your head down. Like it's a night's rest is what they're selling. But they are selling it at vastly different prices. So what comes with it? What justifies somebody of paying that cost? It's everything else that's associated with it, right? It's when you walk down the hallway, does the staff of the hotel, do they look you in the eye or are they on their cell phone? Do they say, "Oh, Mr. Burton, how are you doing today? Can I get you anything?" Right? Or are they like joking around and doing all their kinds of stuff? And so I think in terms of the industry that you're in, the hotels is very much the same because there's the $65 guy and there's the $1,000 guy. And they're both selling water heaters, garage door springs, shingles. They're both selling filters and breakers and door locks, right? They're both selling those things. And yes, we can get into the quality of the product, but that's not why people are using you. They're using you because in many cases, they probably got a good word from somebody else that said, use these guys, right? We're in the home services industry. So much of our traffic is based upon referrals. And those referrals may be in person or they may be online because other people have recommended it. But it's the referral game, right? That we are in the referral game, which means that somebody said, man, you got to use Brian's plumbing. Brian's plumbing is great. Brian took care of me. Or his guy, Logan took care of me. His guy, Frank, took care of me. And he did all these good things. You are in the services industry and you need to differentiate yourself. Be the Mercedes in the car world or the BMW or the Rolls Royce. Be the Ritz-Carlton of your industry. Be the one to differentiate yourself because of your service. And you know what people will pay for? They will pay for that service. And every place that there is a Ritz-Carlton proves it because down the street is a Days Inn that is showing vacancy. While the Ritz-Carlton has people pulling up left and right. People want high quality service. They are willing to pay for it. And you need to believe in that. Not just believing in the concept that this is something people are interested in, but then following through and executing on it so that the reverberation of what you are doing is felt amongst not only the industry, but your clientele base. You know what's going to happen? Your competition is going to level up, which means you're going to have to figure out how to level up. And this is a good thing because all ships rise when the tide comes in. And when the service industry gets better, everybody is improved for it. And that's a good thing. And people want that type of quality product service solution in their communities. So, Brian, what are some practical ways besides communication path of being able to explain to a homeowner in clear terms? What are some practical ways that going the extra mile looks like?
Well, I would say if you ask most, at least techs, what's the unique selling proposition, the USP of their team? Why is your team the best, quote unquote? You know what they say, because we do it right the first time. We use high quality equipment and then 2 or 3 other things that are literally expectations by the client. This is just what they feel like they're going to get. So you're not wowing anybody with that kind of stuff, right? But I would say customers don't typically judge us by perfection. If everything just goes smooth and there are no hiccups and you get there when you say, you do the job you say, you pack up and leave, clean up when you say, you don't leave a mess, you're out by the time you said you'd be out. That's what you would call perfection. If that's the case and there's nobody there to ask for the review or any kind of, software asking for the review, you're probably not even getting a review for that. They tend to judge us by how we handle problems when things go wrong, right? Like, what's our attitude when something doesn't work out right? How do we treat them? Do we go any kind of extra mile to, I'll say compensate them, and I don't just mean give them some money off the job or something like that, but I mean, do we go any kind of extra mile when we screw up to make them okay. Oftentimes you'll see those long reviews that everybody loves because, we're all clients of something, and we all know when we look at somebody's reviews, if they're just 25 straight 5-star reviews with one sentence, we're probably not reading them, right? But if there's a 1-star review mixed in, we're all over that. Hold on, what'd they do? And then we want to see the response to it.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And we're hoping there's like a 6-way back and forth where, like I want some juicy.
Let me see that drama.
It's funny. I've been in leadership long enough where I immediately, I see a 1-star review and I side with the company already. I don't even know what's happening yet. And I'm like, nah, that's the client. It's their fault. It's just, I'm jaded. So yeah, you want to see the back and forth, but you will stop if there's like a 5-paragraph, 18-inch long review, 5-star. You want to know what it seems like something above and beyond happened. And most of the time they're written because something unexpected or bad happened and the company bent over backwards to take care of it and take care of that client. So those oftentimes when something goes awry, like the giraffe is left and the company goes overboard to handle the client concern, you'll get good reviews out of that.
Yeah, and I would say the other 5-star review that is typically lengthy is when the service is so outlandish in a good way, like so stand out that you impressed the pants off of somebody so much that they felt compelled to write like a biography for you, right? They felt compelled to write their story for others to hear. That's when you know that you have won. When you see like 2-3 paragraphs on that review saying, stop what you're doing, use these people, here's why, ... My dog, my kids, my elderly mother who lives in our house, my neighbor, like, and the list goes on, right? Of all the people or loved things or ones that were impacted by the service. That's another 5-star review that you need to be proud of and that you should be seen if you are really going the extra mile for your service.
Yeah, one way to talk about this often, I have been punching this for years, but asking for the review up front is a level of accountability that most of us are probably afraid of, but that it's very important because it sets you in a different mindset and it sets your relationship with that client in a different space. Just to say, hey, Nate, before we get started, at the end of our visit here together today, I'm going to ask you to give me a 5-star review. If between right now and that time I do anything that causes you to feel like I don't deserve a 5-star review or I haven't given you a 5-star level of service, can you just tell them what I'm doing right now, Nate?
Give me the timeout signal.
I'm giving them the timeout signal. Call a time. Can you just call a timeout and say, hey, I didn't love that? And here's why. It's the only way I'll get better. I promise you it's 100% okay. I'm not going to take offense, but I need the feedback. Will you do that for me?
Yeah, man. And I think even what you're proposing there, Brian, it requires a level of confidence in your service. Like if you doubt yourself or if you second guess yourself or you don't walk in there and carrying yourself with an air of like AIR of that I'm the man, not braggadociously, but like I'm going to take care of the problem.
Braggadociously. Today. That's fine. It's fine. There's a level of confidence in that instance where I own this garage door and everything about it in a way that nobody else can because I care so much and I serve so ferociously that if you walk with a swagger, it's fine. It's 100% fine. But yeah, so following up on any transgressions in an aggressive way is a big one. But definitely confidently asking that question at the beginning, like I'm going for the review, FYI, but I want you to give it because I served you at a 5-star level. So please, if I do anything that makes you feel like I'm not giving you a 5-star level of service, just do the little timeout hand signal and let me know. It's going to be fine. I don't get offended by that. It's fine. I need to know. Right. And then when you get to the end, it's time to cash in. Well, you never gave me the timeout signal, so I think I did pretty well here. I mean,
hey,
and I would hold my hand out even for the shake. Like, did I serve you at your expected 5-star level today? And then when they say yes, I'd probably follow up one time. Is there anything I could have done better? Why not? Are we so immature that we can't take a little bit of constructive criticism from the people who pay our bills?
right.
Now, if you know you're the type of cat, you know this cat exists. I was trained by some of them. That if you're taking the cover off the unit and you drop one of those little screws and it goes into their disgusting shag carpet, now you have to throw your Phillips screwdriver across the wall and embed it in the sheetrock. Like, if you're that, you've got to scream when something doesn't go your way. You're the 4-year-old who shaves. If you know that's you and you're going to do something like that inevitably throughout the call, don't ask the question in the beginning. I don't know, I'll tell you. Become a dispatcher or something. Yeah, don't ask for the review if you're going to do something like that.
I'm just picturing you going up to the client saying, is it better to be feared or to be loved? I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Yeah, Michael Scott, baby. Scott. Both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're gonna make that move up front, you've got to know that you're going to deliver all the way throughout the call and on the back end. And if you get toward the end and the client didn't do any business with you, and they're like, "Yeah, no, it was great service, but yeah, your prices are just too high. I can't do it at this price." And hopefully you've worked through that with some rebuttals and figured out that it's not a fit, right? Whatever. Cool. They got somebody who can do it for half and they think the service is on par with yours, so it's just too much money. Awesome. I'm not opposed to you putting that in the review. Even saying that, hey, 5 stars, service was great, price was a little much. I have no issue with that. Because again, what you're rating me on was my service today. So that's fine by me. And I didn't care because, dude, what percentage of the reviews for your team? How many reviews do you guys have now?
Thousands.
Many.
I don't have it all off the top of my head.
Zeros. Yeah. I'm thinking there's 2 commas in there, maybe.
2 commas. I don't know about that. What? Hundreds of thousands?
Oh, sorry. No. Not 2. Yeah, you're 1 comma. But yeah, 5 digits, goodness. I meant 5 digits, not 2 commas. Yeah.
Combined, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what percentage of them would you say there says something about you either being very expensive or the most expensive, but so worth it?
Yeah, that's a common refrain that we'll see.
Yeah, like,
and that's okay.
20%, 15%.
Yeah, sure. And that's what you're looking for. Like, and that's when we know that we are priced according to our service, if you will. Right? We're going to expect that, but as long as it comes to the 5 stars, we've justified it.
I'm looking at the tag on my pants right now, and they are Viore. After all that talk. But they're just so comfortable, man. It's like, yeah, they're expensive, but they're worth it. They come in the coolest colors. These are like a real cool ice gray. And they're, they have that bit of stretch to them and just comfort, and they breathe a little bit. And it's early September here in Arizona. So
it's like 98.
It's not in the 90s yet, bro. It's in the hundos. It's triple digits still.
Okay.
Yeah. So pants that breathe a little and fit a little looser, but still a little stretchy. They're nice. So yeah, much like the reviews at my shop here in Arizona, at Nate's shop there in Pennsylvania. And I know what his reviews look like because I had gotten many of them myself and was on the leadership team there for a long time. And no different here. Clients saying all the time, we're not cheap, but we're so worth it. These pants aren't cheap. It's, I don't know, $130 for a pair of freaking dress pants. Challenge is you can get this type of pants and material for much less money than that. And they tend to feel kind of the same. I will say, when it comes to the pants, they won't last as long. They'll start unthreading in random places pretty quickly. Socks, t-shirts, polos, yes, same. Because you can get them at Costco, Travis Matthew, all the department stores, and then you get like Lulu, Vuori, a little stuff. I'm not going to like Balenciaga or anything. I'm not paying $800 for a shirt, but yeah, with every level up comes a little bit longer lasting shirt. So that's nice because, I'm usually getting a logo put on them. Need it to stick around for a while. But yeah, it's expensive, but worth it.
Expensive, but worth it. And I think that's a great place to leave it because that is something that will stick around for a while as well. If you are in the industry where you can justify a high price with great quality service, and that service then justifies the high price, you are going to stick around for a while because people will spread the word about that level of service. People are always looking to tell about a bad story because those are the ones that are interesting. But I think you give the right amount of service. You give that giraffe photo level of service. You give that type of service and people will start talking about that as well. And they're going to leave you the 5-star review, especially if you ask it in the ways that even Brian went over today.
Yeah.
Good conversation today, Brian. Thanks for the topic.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to ask for our 5-star review, but not in review form, in money form. Look, every tech out there says they want to make more money, close more calls, provide better levels of service to their client. But the truth literally is that most of them won't. They'll stay stuck at average, doing the same thing year after year after dreaded year. As David Sandler said, they won't have 20 years of experience. They'll have 1 year of experience and they will repeat that year 19 times. Blue Collar Closer is where that changes. It's not theory. It's not motivational hype or fluff. It's a proven system built for techs and salespeople like you. Plumbers, HVAC techs, Sparkies, garage door pros, roofers. Goodness, what all is in there, bro? Pest control, landscaping, swimming pool cleaning, solar guys. Whew. I'm leaving some. There's 17 industries, bro. So we're going to have to come up with a couple more. You got 3? You got 1?
We got windows, doors.
Windows, doors. Yep. It's the home services,
Pavement.
man. So you name it. They're in there. Yeah. Who are tired of scraping by and ready to actually win. Inside BCC, as we call it in the community, you're not learning how to sell. You're learning how to serve at a level that gets you paid what you're worth, which is far more in most cases than you're getting paid now. Role play objections, master communication. Hear from people just like you who are doubling and tripling their income on a regular basis. This isn't optional if you want to rise, because here's the truth. The guys and gals in your market who are in BCC are going to eat your lunch if you don't keep up. So if you're listening right now, ask yourself, are you content being average or are you ready to become a blue collar closer? Because the doors are open and the only thing standing between you and your next level is you. So bluecollarcloser.com or go to the show notes on most platforms. There's a link right there. Boom. Or shoot us an email, service@wastenoday.net. It's been years people have been asking us, how do we support the show, right? One way is join Blue Collar Closer. And I'm not saying just donate money to it. I'm saying get up in there and use the classroom and use the community to get better, because they're role playing in there, man. They're holding each other accountable. They're celebrating with each other in there. There's 225 members?
Yes, sir. So far.
Been open for about 4 months. There's 225 members from all over the world. And I think 6 countries at this point. Just grinding, pushing to get better. So we'll see you in there.
Yes, we will. And that's a wrap for this episode, as we hope that you enjoyed your tour down the extra mile today. And if you are a little bit lacking on the service, perhaps this has been motivation for you to step it up a notch. Or if you have been a little lackluster on your review request, maybe you are already providing great service and it's time for you to start asking for that reciprocation. And Brian gave some good details there. We hope that you enjoyed the episode. And if you did, we'd love if you would share it around and tell us what type of takeaways that you got from today's episode and how you're going to apply them into your industry and specifically into your process. We always love that feedback. We love a good story too about anybody who's made the change and has seen the impact from it. So let us know, share this one around, and make sure that you are indeed choosing to take the extra mile. It's a great place to leave it with our weekly challenge as well, to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.